Staci, what did you get into? I know the earthquake was scary, sweetheart, but you didn't have to go under the porch and get dirty all over it. I know. Here's the blueberry infused intense blueberry smoothie, and of course I got some extras in the leftover in the blender there, but all it is a ton of fresh blueberries and about a serving and a half of dried blueberries, of course a few dates, and roughly 4 to 5 frozen bananas, and about a teaspoon of vanilla bean powder, and 1 can of Taste Nirvana coconut water, which is roughly 2 cups worth. Super tasty and it's like infused blueberry licious lusciousness. Is like the flavor so intense, and that's what I've been wanting, is just an intense blueberry, sweet blueberry. Can't beat it. Can't beat that. And of course, you guys, in my smoothies or in my dinner meals, I most definitely like to include my vitamin D supplement. I do take some supplements, and this is one of them since I live up here in Alaska. A lot of you guys know, if you've watched me long enough, you know I live up here in Alaska. I think all Alaskans, and even if you're in a cold climate, I think it's required to take vitamin D, and especially up here in Alaska because our light is so screwy and we're in the middle of the winter, the hardest part of our winter. Not only extreme cold, this year it's been different, but right now we're in that really hard part of winter where the light is like there's no daylight, and you can really feel it. So I do take vitamin D, and this is my most recent updated vitamin D right here, and I take a pretty high potency. It's, well, not super high, but I guess that is high potency, but it's a 2000 IU per drop, and it's a liquid drop. And so this is my current vitamin D that I take, and it's just 1 drop. So I just wanted to thank all of you guys who have commented to me on Instagram and on the YouTube about the recent earthquake in Anchorage, Alaska, because a lot of you guys said you saw it on the news and you immediately thought of me, and then you messaged me, and I'm like, and when I was reading your guys' comments and stuff about that, I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys actually thought about me. Oh, thank you so much. And so I figured I'd just kind of just talk about it just a little bit, because everybody's wanting to know if I'm okay, if Fairbanks people are okay, if everybody in Alaska is okay. And so thank you so much, you guys, for being concerned. My goodness. And I didn't realize how many comments and how many people actually cared, you know, actually cared. And so I can tell you right now that I'm okay. Us Fairbankskins are okay. Most of the damage was in Anchorage, Alaska, but I most certainly did feel the earthquake. It actually woke me up. It was around 8:30 in the morning, and I was snoozing pretty darn good because I got to sleep in, and but it woke me up. But the strange thing about it that I thought was kind of abnormal about this earthquake was it lasted a long time. Longer than the other ones, I feel. And that's another thing. Up here in Alaska, it's not only the deep cold that you deal with, or the screwed up daylight that you deal with throughout the year, is you also deal with a lot of earthquakes. There are tons of earthquakes up here, and there's intense ones, but then there's a lot of little ones that do catch your attention. And I know here I have felt so many earthquakes, and that's why this one, when it woke me up, I'm like, oh, here's another earthquake. But this one was different because it felt stronger, and it went on longer too. And the thing is things were rattling in my house, and my decor on the ceiling was swaying back and forth. And Elsie came in my room. She was freaking out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, hang on, Elsie, it's still going. And the thing about this one is it was shaky, but it also felt like you were on rollers. And if any of you guys have experienced earthquakes before, or live in an area where you experience earthquakes enough, you know, you understand that there's different types of earthquakes. There's different feels to earthquakes. And this one was shaky, but it was more like you were on rollers almost. And so it was a different one. And so when I felt that, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm sure that's going to make the news. But when I say news, I was thinking that's going to make our local Fairbanks, Alaska news, like another earthquake, but it was a larger one and everything. I had no idea it was going to make national news. And that's why everybody later, just a couple hours as the day was going on and everything throughout the morning, my mom and other people were sending me texts about online articles, and then even that we're on the news and everything, like national news. I'm like, what? This made the national news, really? And it just kind of like shocked me. I'm like, how did we make the national news? Because Alaska never makes national news, you know? And then I was thinking about all the massive wildfires in California and all the recent hurricanes over the past year and stuff. Like the United States, we have been hit pretty hard with natural disasters. So I was thinking, well, this is probably why we made national news, is because there's a lot going on in the natural disaster arena right now, and so this is just another one that adds to it. So everybody here in Fairbanks is okay. I'm okay, you guys, and but most of it happened in Anchorage, and I know there are some people that I know that live in Anchorage, and they have things fallen down, and it was a much more intense experience there, of course, since the earthquake happened closer. But of course, the highways are closed, and you can't enter into Anchorage as of now that I know of, and because of road damage. I mean, the roads literally split in half and cracked in half, and like literally not just these little cracks. I mean, these are major cracks, and it's not a good idea for it to be happening in the middle of winter, you know, especially up here in Alaska. I mean, Anchorage is much warmer than Fairbanks, but Anchorage still gets pretty cold temperatures. Not like Fairbanks. I mean, Fairbanks, we're in the interior, so we get the 50, 60 below, and it stays, and you're always guaranteed 40 below for sure for long periods of time. But it depends on the year too. I mean, but most generally you're guaranteed deep sub-zero temperatures in the interior, and of course far north in Alaska. But the southern part of Alaska does stay much warmer, but it still gets cold though too. And so especially being in the middle of winter, I was thinking, oh my gosh, the buildings, the glass windows have broken, and like everybody's being and pipes are breaking, so water, they're being exposed to water, and it's like, this is not good in the middle of winter here. And I was thinking, well, thank goodness we're in an abnormally warm winter, because I have never felt such a warm winter so far. This has been so bizarre. This is why I haven't showed you guys any of the temperatures yet, because it's actually been just fine, and in my videos or anything recently, because it's been in the teens to the 20s and somewhat in the 30s, but more in the 20s, teens to 20s, all winter long so far. Which is so bizarre. I have never experienced a winter like this before. Usually it gets deeply cold right away when winter comes up here in Alaska, especially in Fairbanks. And so usually September gets pretty darn cold, and but you can guarantee almost 20, 30 below in October. And we haven't even had 0 degrees yet. And it's December, and it's like blowing my mind away, because I'm like, in my mind, kind of deep down in my mind, I'm thinking I'm still kind of waiting for winter to start, you know, because winter to me is deep sub-zero temperatures. I mean, yeah, there's snow out there, but I'm always like, my normal life, you know, living up here, since I've done it my whole life, I'm always like, I feel like I always have to be suffering and constantly striving and working at trying to get through the day and getting through life, you know, because of the cold. But that hasn't happened, so I've been actually very relaxed, and I'm like, my goodness, if winter was like this, it would be just fine, you know, it would be just fine. But anyways, that's just the facts of Alaskan life. It's the facts of life in Alaska, you know, for being so close to that Arctic Circle and the North Pole, you know, but on northern part of the planet. But anyways, like the earthquake and stuff, we don't need that in the middle of winter. It doesn't matter how little of an earthquake or how intense the earthquake is. We don't need a natural disaster like that in the middle of winter. Okay, because that becomes a much more serious issue for sure. And it even triggered a tsunami warning, which, oh my gosh, I started thinking about the coastal cities up here. I'm like, oh my gosh, our coastal cities, Alaskan coastal cities, do not need a tsunami in the middle of winter. We're talking freezing water and possibly huge massive blocks of ice flowing in and destroying the cities and stuff. That's what I'm envisioning and everything, but it's hard to envision a winter tsunami, you know. It's like, whoa. And of course, when the coastal cities, they do get snow depending on where they are at and everything. Like Valdez is beautiful, but they get lots of snow, but that just makes things even worse, you know. And one other thing I want to mention is, I don't know how you guys do it, who live in those areas where there's hurricanes and tornadoes and massive intense electrical storms and just massive flooding. And I can't, I've never experienced that, and I don't want to experience that. You guys can have that. You guys can have that. I most certainly don't want 50 or 60 below. That's a whole nother story. But I mean, I can't imagine being in a tornado or a hurricane. That is so darn scary. And flooding too. That is just like, oh my gosh, no. So I give a lot of you people who live in those types of climates and those areas a lot of credit, because that's a whole nother deal there. And I know that's part of a tropical climate too. Hurricanes and tropical storms, that's part of a tropical climate. But anywhere you go on this planet, anywhere you live on this planet, there's gonna be goods and bads about that climate. Because it's not a perfect world. It's not a perfect world, as you guys all know, you know. And but I mean, we can most certainly try to live in an area where there's the least natural disasters possible. you know. But it just depends on what jives with you, what you want, and how you want to live and stuff. And but anyways, I just wanted to talk about that in this video because I thank you guys again so much for commenting to me about that earthquake and thinking about me. And because it really, like, it really got to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's actually good people out there, because YouTube as a whole, everybody knows about the reputation about YouTube. And so when people express really good, friendly comments and stuff, I'm like, man, so I know there's good people out there, but I've never expected to really see it and feel it on YouTube and Instagram too. But so many of you guys are, thank you so much. Much appreciated, much appreciated. Okay guys, so I'm on my second meal for today, and that's kind of all I'm having. I am not very hungry today. That smoothie is very satisfying, and so now I'm having my deep dish dinner here. It is, ooh, excuse me guys. All it is my hemp seed dressing dip, but I didn't use 3 tablespoons of hemp seeds. I only used 2 tablespoons of hemp seeds, and I added dill and basil. Actually, it was sweet Thai basil, and then a huge pack of fresh sweet peas, some cherry tomatoes, chopped celery, and that's about it. Oh, and some kale in there, and it's so good, so good. So let's check out the deep dish. How deep is the deep dish? Well, it looks like it's roughly almost 3 inches deep, and my bowl is 6 inches wide. Do we see that there, guys? You guys are probably seeing it upside down. Sorry, but this was full to the top. I've been munching on it, and this has got literally almost like 30 grams of protein in here. So I mean, it's loaded full of protein. And so there's always that protein issue on a vegan diet, and even raw vegan diet, fully raw diet. Most certainly, we all know, all you raw foodies out there know, you most certainly can get plenty of protein on a raw foods diet. The problem arises is when you don't eat enough. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. Alrighty guys, so remember to love being raw. Put a big old smile on your face today. I hope I did that for you, and I'll see you guys next video, okay?